So my brain has been and still to this day is always seeking evidence to support all of the good things that are possible for me because I don't drink. It's not about deprivation. It's not about being miserable. It's not about missing out. It's not about wanting something I can't have. It's about, God, I am so fucking lucky that I am not stuck in the chaos and drama that alcohol causes anymore. Welcome to the Shannon McCabe Show, where we break free from our drink obsessed culture, challenge the myths around alcohol, and redefine sobriety as the empowering choice it truly is. I'm Shannon McCabe, sober coach, holistic nutritionist, and your guide to a life that feels better without booze. Whether you're newly sober, sober curious, or years into this journey, this podcast is here to give you the truth about alcohol, the tools to build lasting confidence, and the hope that a vibrant, fulfilling life is waiting for you on the other side. So grab your coffee or sparkling water and let's dive in. Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Shannon McCabe Show podcast. I'm excited for this chat. Today is going to be just a little bit of a riff, a little bit of a heart talk, because I've had a common theme coming up in the last week or so in conversations with a couple of my private clients, in my coaching groups, and honestly, even just in my personal life. This is something that the topic is something that came up in a conversation actually with one of my daughters. And so it just made me think how like this is a phenomena. This is something that applies to so many areas of our life, but really sobriety specifically. And if you are a client, if you are in any of my programs, you're going to be like, "Oh, I've heard this before," because yes, we talk about it a lot. Because once you are aware of this phenomena, of this thing that our brain does, you're going to start seeing how often this happens in so many areas of your life, and how it can either like freaking hold you down and drag you down, you guys, and make life just feel harder than it needs to be, or how it can begin what can be a really beautiful like cascade and domino effect of seeming like so much around you changes for the better, when really what mostly has changed is just you. So what I'm talking about today, you guys, the technical, like scientific name for it is confirmation bias. But what this is the way our brain will seek out and find and fixate on evidence and things that support what we are already thinking and believing. So examples of what this can look like. The most simple one, you guys, is like, say that you're thinking about buying a new car, or you want a new car, you really like a new car. And so maybe you want this to be whatever. We're going to say like a Jeep, okay? And suddenly you feel like you see Jeeps everywhere. Everywhere you look, there are Jeeps driving down the road. And you're like, how I never noticed this before. Well, you didn't. And it's not like there are suddenly actually a larger number of Jeeps on the road. You are just aware of them. You are seeking them out without even realizing it, because you have a thought and a fixation in your mind that you want a Jeep. You're getting ready to buy a Jeep. You're looking for a Jeep. And so your brain is seeking out Jeeps. It is looking for them everywhere that it can. And so you suddenly are more aware of them. Now, what this can look like in sobriety, for example, and that's why I wanted to talk about this today, because a lot of us do this and encounter it without even realizing it. And oftentimes it's when we are still really stuck in our drinking, really stuck in our relationship with alcohol, and are afraid or are hesitant to seek support or to take a break from drinking, let alone maybe quit drinking for good or even for a while, because we have ideas, we have beliefs, we have preconceived notions that quitting drinking is really hard, that not drinking is lame, that not drinking is boring, that cravings are like this inevitable, insurmountable, awful part of quitting drinking. And how could you ever get past it? You can't ever get past it. It's so hard. I'm not even going to try. And so If you have these beliefs and these thoughts that life without alcohol is going to suck, or quitting drinking is hard and is so much harder than however your drinking is going right now, your brain is going to subconsciously, without you even being aware of it, is going to seek out evidence support to support that. So you're going to find yourself gravitating towards either people or ideas, maybe people on Instagram who have quit drinking but are still really fucking miserable and just talk about how unhappy they are and the sober glow up hasn't happened for me yet and this is so unfair and it's so hard and I miss drinking or this is why I slipped, this is why I drank again. Or you're gonna notice when people say things like, oh my gosh, I just always give in around day one or day five or day 14 because the cravings are just too hard. Without giving you any more context about, like, well, are they doing anything to learn how to get through cravings? Have they done anything to support a sober glow up? Are they addressing their health? Are they in a support group? Do they have sober friends? Are they attempting to change, their nutrition or things about their body that is going to make them better able to not be depressed or not be anxious? Or are they just fixating on being miserable in sobriety? And so you find that and you hear that and you're like, yep, see, quitting drinking is so hard and being sober is hard and being sober is lame and not drinking, it must be so boring and isolating and lonely. And so that's why I'm not going to do it because look at all of this evidence that I'm finding that this is true. Well, you guys, because when we stay so firmly rooted and so firmly stuck in those fixated beliefs, our brain, it's our brain's job to like support us. So if these are the ideas you have, everywhere you look out in the world, that is what you are going to find, and that is what you are going to see. So then it stands to reason, and it's logical and actually scientifically and psychologically proven that if you shift and change and tweak these beliefs and these thoughts and these stories that you are spinning inside of your own head, then you can change the evidence that your brain is seeking. And so if you start telling yourself, like, God, quitting drinking is a really cool opportunity, actually. Maybe this is the opportunity for me to get that promotion I've been wanting at work for like 4 years, but it hasn't happened. Maybe quitting drinking is going to make it easier for me to lose the weight that I've been trying to lose, but isn't coming off. Maybe if I'm not drinking, I won't be as anxious as I have been. And then a really fantastic thing is going to happen, which is your brain is going to start finding evidence and presenting you with evidence that all of those things are true and that all of those things can be true for you and will happen in your life. So you guys, I'm sharing this because it's so easy for us to go down these rabbit holes, right? And go down these shame spirals and these negative loops of thinking that very quickly become like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If we want to convince ourselves that quitting drinking is hard, we will very easily find evidence to support the idea that quitting drinking is hard. But you know what? You can do the opposite also. If you want to believe that quitting drinking can be easier than you're making it out to be, then guess what? You're suddenly going to find ways that it can be easier. You're suddenly going to be like, oh my gosh, look at all of these amazing sober communities that are out there that I could join. Look at all these amazing sober women on Instagram who sound like their drinking used to be the way that my drinking currently is. And now they're talking about how much better they feel because they don't drink. And they're talking about how they got on top of their anxiety and depression and how it actually made it easier to deal with the chaos of having young kids. It actually made it easier for them to have conversations with their husband. They actually found that their social anxiety got better and they feel more confident and feel like better just being themselves than relying on alcohol for like this like social lubricant so they can, just show up how people want them to show up when they're out and about. If you start even pondering that any or all of those things could be true about life without alcohol, then your brain is going to seek out evidence to support that. And you can then go down that rabbit hole. You can go down and find all these amazing transformational stories of women just like you and me, who felt really stuck in their drinking, whatever that is. Maybe you only drink on weekends. Maybe you can easily go 2 or 3 weeks without drinking. But when you do drink, you don't have an off switch. The blackouts come, the hangovers are horrendous. You're anxious all the time, even when you're not drinking, because you're waiting to drink. And so you're still very much controlled by drinking, even if you're not doing it. Or maybe you are a person whose drinking was like mine, where we were hiding it. We were, buying double at the store and sneaking it into the house when nobody was around, so that when your husband thought you were having your first glass of wine at night, you were actually opening your second bottle. And it was just consuming your whole entire life. And now you're like, oh shit, I actually do feel so much better without alcohol because I started to ask myself, maybe life could be better if I didn't drink. What if quitting drinking is not a punishment, but is actually an opportunity for me to get everything that I say that I've always wanted, for me to achieve everything that I say that I've always wanted? And when we start thinking that way, all of a sudden, everywhere we look online, we see people that are happy because they're not drinking. We see people that are talking about how easy it actually is to go out and even be around drinkers and be like, I don't care if you drink. I know I don't want to drink, so it doesn't matter to me what you do. And they actually mean it. And they've learned how to go from being the person that was drinking wine out of a coffee mug at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in an attempt to fool her husband and children to being a person who is like, I feel so much better. You could not pay me to drink. I don't want to drink. I have zero desire to drink. All of this happens when we just shift the thoughts and the stories and the beliefs in our own head. The stories that we are writing in our own head shape the way we see the world and shape the perspective that we have, and so shape the experiences that we have. And you guys, when we realize this, it's like discovering a superpower and discovering that we have so much control over how our life unfolds, even though we can't control what's happening around us, right? Like we can't control other people. And no, we can't control what might happen to us sometimes, but we can control the narrative we spin around it. And we can control our attitude about things, and we can control how we respond to things. And that is when things can get easier than you probably ever even realized that they could. Not because anything else actually changes, but you change. So you guys so think about this. Think about other times in your life, other times maybe even right now. What is going on in your life where you have really staunchly held, securely held like beliefs and stories about something? And so it's so easy for you to come up with like a laundry list of reasons why this is true, all the evidence in the world why this is true. And everybody can do this for everything that they think or believe. So that shows us that whatever you are telling yourself, whatever you want to be true is going to be true, because your brain is going to help you find the evidence that supports what you want to be true. So when we apply this to a relationship with alcohol, you guys, it can be up to us what our experience with drinking is like. Quitting drinking can be miserable. It can be hard. It can be insurmountable. It can be day after day of feeling deprived and angry and pissed off, or it can be an opportunity. It can be filled with curiosity and hope and excitement, all depending on what we think. Because then our brain is going to help us find the experiences that support those thoughts. So if you want to feel more at ease, if you want to feel calmer, if you want to feel confident, if you want to feel better in your own skin without drinking, then first of all, you've got to believe that it's possible, and you've got to tell yourself that it's possible. And you've got to sink into that, because then your brain is going to help you make that true. Your brain is going to help you support that. And you guys, this isn't just fluff. Like, I'm not just like saying this as like a, oh, just go do it. This is like my best advice, my best, my best bullshit advice as a sober coach. You guys, this is real life. I do this all the time. I've trained myself to do this all the time, and not just in sobriety, but even in life. Like, I get messages all the time from people whenever I talk about my daughter Dylan. If you follow me on Instagram, you see this. Dylan is the middle of my three daughters. She's almost 18. She has Down syndrome, autism, nonverbal, in diapers. She's going to live with my husband and I forever. And a lot of times when I share, people are often like, "Oh my gosh, like that seems like that should be so heavy, but you seem like really okay with it. You seem really calm. You seem like you're always finding the silver lining and you're so full of gratitude." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I am." Because this is what I've taught my brain to do, you guys, because when she was younger, I didn't do this. I spent years wallowing in this bullshit pity of, or this pit of self-despair and like, woe is me, why us? Why do we have these challenges in our family? Why is this my life? This is so hard. This is everything we're losing because of this. This is everything that she'll never get to do, that I'll never get to do. And so the more I thought that, the harder everything got. The more desperate and bleak and uphill every day felt. So I began to change the narrative, the story in my head regarding having a daughter with severe disabilities, regarding being a mom of a kid with special needs. And suddenly, yes, it was like, oh my gosh, actually, look at all of these blessings that are unlocked in our life that never would have happened if it hadn't been for Dylan. Look at all of these things I'm gaining that I never would have had the opportunity to even be aware of if I didn't get to be a special needs mom. And so, you guys, if anything, maybe that all did prepare me a little bit more for when I had to quit drinking after I, still was using the negative sides of being a special needs mom to like that's what sucked me down into my alcoholism and into the pit of despair that drinking can cause. But when I was finally ready to crawl out of that hole that alcohol put me in, this idea of confirmation bias again became a tool that I got to use for my advantage because I could see, okay, well, wait, I, even while I was like in the grips of my addiction, was actually really good at staying positive about being a special needs mom. And I was like, what if I actually shift this now to sobriety? What if the same way that I told myself, okay, I can stay fixated on all of my perceived disadvantages that Dylan and myself and my family go through because of her disabilities. If I have 100% realized that that is horseshit and not serving me and I'm better off focusing on everything we've gained, what if I apply that to quitting drinking too? What if I tell myself that maybe quitting drinking is actually going to be one of the best things that's ever happened to me? What if all of the other areas of my life that I have felt stuck, that I have been trying to achieve something personally, professionally, health-wise, in a relationship, is going to be easier and is suddenly going to be unlocked for me because I'm not drinking anymore. And you guys, it has drastically, for the better, shaped my experience and been such a gift to me since I quit drinking because I went into it looking for everything that I had to gain. I never once held on to the belief that I had to quit drinking as a punishment. It was, God, sobriety could be one of the best things that ever happened to me. I'm going to figure out how to make that true. And that has largely been the case because that is the story I held onto. So that is the lens that everything has been filtered to through. So my brain has been and still to this day is always seeking evidence to support all of the good things that are possible for me because I don't drink. It's not about deprivation. It's not about being miserable. It's not about missing out. It's not about wanting something I can't have. It's about, God, I am so fucking lucky that I am not stuck in the chaos and drama that alcohol causes anymore. So, you guys, if you have been stuck, if you have been living inside of negative thought spirals and rabbit holes, and shame-filled, misery-filled stories and beliefs inside of your head regarding how awful it is or how awful it could be to quit drinking, I really, really invite you to try it a different way. I really, really invite you to start telling yourself a different story. Fake it until you can make it. Stick to that story and see how things start to change for you. See how your sober experience can begin to unfold in a way that does not feel like misery and deprivation and missing out and so hard and insurmountable, and instead starts to feel empowering and exciting and full of hope and opportunity and good curiosity and potential. All right, you guys, that's it. I'm going to end it right there. I would love to hear how this landed for you. I've had a lot of great conversations around this week already in my DMs with clients everywhere, but don't ever hesitate to let me know how this lands for you. Does it resonate? Does it even trigger you a little bit? You guys, I'm up for those conversations too. Find me on Instagram, click the links in the show notes, lay it all on me. Let me know. And know that you guys, I'm always cheering you on. Always. And I'll be back next week. Make it a good one, you guys. That's it for today's episode. If this conversation resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. And if you're loving the show, I'd be so grateful if you'd leave a quick review. It helps others find this message and start their own journey to freedom. Until next time, keep choosing yourself, keep believing in what's possible, and remember, you are so much stronger than you think.